The Indian wastewater treatment industry is undergoing rapid transformation as government and industries focus on sustainability and technological innovation. In countries like Singapore, advanced technology is leading the way, while the Indian market is still catching up on emerging solutions and supportive policies. From regulatory drivers to new technologies, there are numerous opportunities on the horizon. Hello everyone, I am Twinkle and I welcome you all to the very first episode of Market Mindset with Y&S, where we'll be sitting with a panel and exploring the wastewater treatment industry's current landscape and the upcoming opportunities. The Indian wastewater treatment market is projected to reach $3,311 million by 2030, with water demand expected to exceed twofold the same year. With an ever-growing population and rapidly depleting groundwater levels, the urgency for wastewater treatment solutions is intensifying, making it a sector brimming with potential. Today, we're joined by Japnit Singh, Chief Operating Officer at Y&S, Saurabh Sharma, Country Director at Y&S India, and Lijo James, Manager of the Process Excellence Team at Y&S India. To discuss and dive into this critical topic, welcome everyone and thank you for joining us for the very first episode of Market Mindset with Y&S. Let's jump right into the market conversation today. Saurabh, can you please take us through the current state of the wastewater treatment industry and maybe then shed light on the primary drivers of the industry?
Thanks, Twinkle. So, wastewater industry is a critical part of India's growth story. Though as of now we are lacking on many fronts in this one. As of now, close to 28% of the total wastewater which is generated is getting processed. So there's a big need for it to improve further. Talking about some of the statistics, so as you mentioned, there's a huge growth potential. So in 2023, this industry stood at close to 1.7 billion US, and it's expected to reach close to 3.4 billion by the 2030. So there are different industries which are playing a role in it. Although most of the water treatment is done by the municipal plants, our industries which are the key players in getting the wastewater treatment done are primarily pharmaceutical and life sciences, textile and dyeing, pulp and paper, food and beverage, oil and gas. So these 6 industries in total have close to 75% of the industrial wastewater treatment plant share. So we hope more industries will come into this wastewater treatment as well.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much for sharing that. And what about the primary drivers which are actually driving this industry's growth?
When talking about the growth drivers, we kind of categorize them into 4 categories. One of the category is the buy side demand. I just spoke that only 28% of the total wastewater is getting treated. So there is a lot of demand from both end users, consumers, as well as from the industrial side to treat more water, which is critical to ensure a consistent water supply for our various needs, be it consumer usage, be it agricultural usage. So that is something which is going to boost the demand a lot. Second is because government also realizes there is an importance of this particular industry, so they are also investing and coming up with various models for taking this industry further. Some of the industries also chipping in, especially the new industrial parks and companies which are setting up their factories are also investing in this industry. Regulations are also going to play a major role because as things of how you can dispose of the wastewater is getting more and more stringent, companies are required to set up wastewater treatment within their campuses.
That's some insight there. Lijo, as the wastewater treatment industry remains segmented, which market divisions, or maybe you can share insights on the market divisions and actually who the key end users are across this industry?
Sure. Thank you, Twinkle. So, predominantly, you can bifurcate the India wastewater treatment market into 2 broad classifications. The heavy side in terms of the market size is dominated by the municipal, which is the government spending. We see approximately 75% of investments and spending on the government side. So we are looking at all the flagship programs that the government has brought in the last few years. We see programs such as the Jal Jeevan Mission, the Amrit 2.0, which is focusing on urbanization and urban housing and treatment of urban wastewater. So there is a significant amount of focus, key priority area that government is focusing on. In terms of the budget allocation, in the latest budget, we see close to $1 billion being allocated just for this segment. So this government spending, this capital expenditure, the spending that will happen in this sector will create must-wanted tailwinds for the other industries and ancillary divisions as well. In addition to this, the other segment is the 25% in terms of the industrial that is mandated by the different frameworks and the policies that the government of India requires. However, we see that there's a lot of focus on new industries such as semiconductors and green hydrogen. These industries also require a lot of water and good quality water. As Saurabh already highlighted, the ever-looming water crisis that could be happening in India. It's very imperative not only for the government but for the industries also to come up and take this initiative to the next level.
Japnit, Singapore is leading the way in water treatment, and India can definitely learn a lot from the regulatory framework that's been followed in the country. What's your take on what all the frameworks are currently working in the country?
I think Singapore's followed a multi-pronged approach. It's very forward-looking, actually. On one side, you've got a very sophisticated set of regulations and standards. Things like the quality of water is very tightly monitored and regulated, and those standards are made very clear and very, very transparent. And that's separate for the water that's used, we're collecting and we're distributing, but also water reuse standards are quite sophisticated. Also, large water users are required to put in a water impact report with the government on an annual basis. So that's really being monitored as well. We also have water standards and very clear labeling on water efficiency for our appliances. So it spans from industrial use to consumer use, but that water efficiency is being tracked very, very closely.
There's a lot for India to keep track on then. How do the regulatory framework governing the wastewater treatment in India can influence the effectiveness right now?
Thanks, Twinkle. So Japnit, when you spoke about it, I realized that India has a big way to go ahead in this particular development on the regulatory side. The good thing is that there are discussions going on where different bodies are interacting to ensure that we have a story plan for this. So we are establishing a national apex body and national advisory council for safe reuse of the treated water as well. So these things are already in process, and they are supposed to be implemented by the end of next year as well. There is also a plan to promote interagency cooperation to increase the adoption of safe usage of the treated water as well. So our ministry, which is Ministry of Jal Shakti, will work very closely with Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs to ensure these things are taking place. There is also partial national funding which is being planned. As Lijo highlighted earlier, we had a budget plan for this particular sector. So that is also being implemented, and monitoring hopefully will be done at the similar levels as Singapore here as well.
Thanks, Saurabh. I want to also talk about the industries who are spearheading the installation of water treatment plants here. With growing interest that is in the water treatment plants from industries like pharmaceuticals, food and beverages. Right. Where are we actually seeing the most significant investments, and what investment models are actually being preferred more?
Yes, Twinkle, it's very important to highlight the different modes that have been adopted. As I briefly highlighted in the beginning, the heavy investment does come from the government, and they have experimented with different kinds of modes and models in the past as well. For such large scale projects. So EPC route is definitely the most preferred option However, recently with other infrastructure projects, we've seen a new kind of model, which is a hybrid annuity model, which is in short known as the HAM model. This is a mix of EPC as well as the build, operate, transfer model, which is the BOT model. So what happens in this model is the government gives upfront payment based on the milestones. They give approximately 40% of the entire project value to the winner of the tender, and which helps them build the entire infrastructure. So the risk is spread across. There's not too much reliance for the tenderer or the private player to get financing from outside. And then the remaining 60% is put in by the private player. However, over a period of time that the tender sort of decides, this is paid by the government in terms of annuity. So every year they get portion of that depending on the time period. So this has been the most preferred option as of now. In the private sector, we continue to see the EPC route or the build, operate, transfer, where the experienced players in this segment, whom we've worked in the past to understand the India landscape as well, who prefer to sort of build and then operate and then transfer to the owner so that they can sort of take it forward from there. So these are the different models that are playing out in the region, and we see that shift will happen where industries will evolve to sort of adopt these new models as well.
In Singapore, I think the model's different, if I may just share.
Mm-hmm.
So water for Singapore is a matter of national security because we don't have it. We don't have sufficient water within the island. So the project started in 1997. It is completely government-led, where we had about 6 water treatment plants on the island, and they are now being replaced by only 2 water treatment plants using the deep tunnel sewage system. This is an upgrade that started in 1997, as I mentioned. We completed phase 1 in 2008, and we're excited. I think we're going to end the phase 2 in 2025. Okay. What that project has done, it's very interesting, is it's changed these conventional water treatment plants, and the water being collected is through a network of about 100 kilometers worth of tunnels that use gravitational pull. So it's just gravity driving all of that sewage to these points. So it's a lot more energy efficient, and the plants actually use up a lot less of land area. So given these plants, about 110 hectares of land has already been opened up. I think another similar amount comes up in 2025. And it's a lot more energy efficient, it's a lot more land efficient. It's really a sustainable way of doing waste management. It is entirely funded by the government. Of course, there are contractors that are involved. But it's a different approach.
Yeah, that's really interesting to observe. And thank you for sharing that.
Thanks.
Something even more impressive, Japnit, is the 25-story Changi water reclamation plant that we have in Singapore, which is turning the sewage water into ultra-clean water. And that is actually highlighting the country's commitment to leveraging advanced technology into treating the water. What specific lessons do you think India should be taking from these strategies? How should we actually approach into this?
Yeah, so it's very similar to, actually it is the same project that I was mentioning just a minute ago. I think it rides on the back of certain things that are in place. So I think India needs to take care of some of those things. And it doesn't have to be at a national level. Singapore is a small island, but these projects can be made at a small city or a sub-district level as well. Number one is a very mature and a very systematic way of collecting wastewater. So 100% of our wastewater gets collected.
What specific lessons or strategies do you think India can adopt from the approach that's followed there?
That's a good point, Twinkle. So the project that I mentioned, a part of that is what we call the new water facility. It is the ultra clean water. It's not all of the water that's processed, so a lot of it is still let out after being cleaned, still let out into the ocean. But it does cater to about 40% of Singapore's water needs. So it's an important and it's a very milestone project. You can drink the water that comes out of it.
Exactly. Okay, so looking ahead, Saurabh, what is the scope of this industry? Like, what opportunities lie ahead in the wastewater treatment industry then?
Yes, so before I start answering this question, so one thing that you mentioned that Singapore being an island, it's easier to maintain. So thankfully, wastewater treatment is a state subject here in India as well. So each state can decide regulations or develop framework which best suits the requirement of the states. As of now, 10 states have already implemented a regulatory framework as per their states. Which is a good starting point, and we are hoping more states are going to have that framework as well. Now, talking about this opportunity, another thing which I'm going to tie in up with what Japnit mentioned is the installation of new technologies in the wastewater treatment. So, two new technologies which a lot of new plants in India are coming up with, specifically the new plants in Andhra Pradesh and Telangana. So, they are coming with sequencing batch reactors and moving bed biofilm reactors. So these plants have efficiency rates of 80 to 90%. That helps clean water to a level which can be used for various purposes in a safe manner. So we, talking about the future of this industry, we think that this industry will a lot of opportunity exists for players who have these kind of new technologies which can increase the efficiency rate and can handle large scale projects. So we're hoping for more and more players to come to India for this.
All right, thank you everybody for sharing your valuable insights on the wastewater treatment industry in India. It's clear that the sector is offering significant potential for growth and collaboration. To our listeners, we hope you find this discussion as enlightening as we've had having it. Stay tuned for more episodes of Market Mindsets with Y&S, where we'll continue to explore key market and identifying major trends. For deeper insights to explore the industry's ripe with potential, you can visit our website www.yamada-spire.com. We'll see you in the next episode. Until then, thank you very much.